He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
car. You know, roses would be...
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have.
You'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns. What's right? I want to have a man's coolant.
And he's like, oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light.
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West.
Internet. You know, is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a Tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke. Welcome to Auto Off Topic. It's Happy Day of the Dead, Brad.
Day of the Dead. That means it's November 1st, right? That's the day after.
That's right. Yep.
After Halloween. I don't know the significance of it, but I'm not ready to dive into a history lesson either. So,
Nope.
there you go. Muerta Day something. It's a Mexican
It's
holiday,
like-
right?
Or yeah, I don't know, Mexican, Latin American. Not sure.
Not sure either. All I know is it's the day after Halloween. And I always remember what day it is because it's also my sister's birthday. So,
Oh,
happy birthday, Jen, even though I know she doesn't listen.
it's the thought that counts.
Yeah, exactly. I did text her earlier today, so maximum effort has
All
been...
Hallows Eve.
Maximum effort, no. Hallows Eve would be before Halloween.
Yep.
So, we're way off now. Anyway, Andrew, did you have a successful Halloween with the little one?
We did. He
Excellent.
got lots of candy.
Beautiful thing. Just what kids need.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween is definitely a holiday supported by the Dental Association of America. So,
Sure.
no question.
Big Candy is
Big
into it.
candy. I did not eat much candy because I'm not allowed to eat much candy, but I did have a couple pieces. So, it was, we'll call it a cheat night, I guess.
A
Cheating
couple
is
houses in our
yours.
neighborhood had full-size bars, so I was surprised.
I didn't know you were a rich neighborhood like that.
I didn't know either.
House prices go up, rich people move in. Next thing you know, full size candy bars.
I guess so.
Sweet. I don't have an excuse to go trick or treating here, so I don't know what people did. I know my neighbor baked cookies, which I think is probably not okay, but also I don't know. Kids seemed excited about getting them, so
I don't know. It's better than the old lady that give out bag of pennies.
that's. I guess I'm just thinking about like rules and health code violations.
I don't know. It's generally a weird holiday. You're just going to people's houses and they're just giving you candy.
Yeah, this is true. It's something that all year long you tell your kid not to do. Don't go to strangers' houses.
Yeah.
Except this one night where it's totally cool as long as their front porch lights on. So
I saw somebody had a picture of a container with a bunch of Hot Wheels too, and I was like, "Oh, that's what I should have done with all the ones that I don't need."
yeah, I've seen that a couple of times. People put Hot Wheels cars out for the kids. So I thought about it too, but I didn't have time to like get down and organize the ones that I want to get rid of.
Yeah, the ones
And then
I
I'd sit
don't
out
want.
front, like a kid would take it, and I'd be like, "Oh no, you can't have that one. I'll just stay here." How'd that get in there? But it is what it is. I would like to do that at some point too. I think because I have so many I don't need, and at $1 a piece, it doesn't make sense to eBay them. Just give them away.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
So, I mean, I did go out and buy some last minute Halloween supplies at the Dollar Tree down the street, and of course, because I was doing that, I also purchased more Hot Wheels. So hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
They keep coming out with cool new ones. What can I say? I do have a story about that actually, real fast. So I was at the Dollar Tree, and I'm digging through. They have like the dump bin of new Hot Wheels cars.
The bin of death, as they say.
The bin of death, yeah. And I noticed that all the ones on top were new, like new releases. And I was like, oh, this is a fresh bin. I want to dig through this a little bit. So I started digging, and I found the Alpha GTV, which is brand new. Actually has new wheels on it too, which are cool. And the 73 Honda Civic. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I kept digging. And then all of a sudden, I hear a little voice come up behind me and go, "Did you find anything cool?" And I turn around, and there's like a 7-year-old boy, like an actual child, like interacting with me as I'm digging through the bin of toys. And I immediately panicked. Now, I don't know why I panicked, but I was like, yeah, these are kind of neat. I don't know what to tell you to this strange boy who I probably shouldn't be talking to in the aisle of the store who's by himself. And then he just kept talking about like treasure hunts and super treasure hunts, and he was all stoked on finding the super treasure hunt of the little K truck with the Ryu Asada livery on it.
What's the treasure hunt of that thing?
So it's the super treasure. The current super treasure hunt is the Ryu Asada K truck.
Yeah.
Now they have the regular version of it, which is just the red paint and regular wheels, and they have the super treasure hunt, which has the metallic red paint and rubber tires. That's the difference.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So anyway, he was all stoked on trying to find it, and he's explaining it to me, and I was like, "Okay, good luck. I gotta walk away because I'm an adult who's buying toys, and this is now an awkward scenario." So I did manage to escape. Told him, good luck and have at it. And I made sure he didn't want any of the ones that I had, because if I had taken Hot Wheels cars from a child, I'd feel really bad. But he did not, so we're good. But yeah, that was an interaction that I've not had before. I have had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, are you a collector or are you buying these for a kid?" Which is always also an awkward conversation.
What does it matter?
What does it matter exactly? I think
Get out of here.
I think they are also collectors, and they're just curious, like if they can have a conversation with me about them, or if they know I've already searched through them and they're not going to find anything.
Open that
good 'cause
door.
I've already been there. Yeah, exactly. So the only time it bothers me is when it's the cashier being like, "Oh, these for a child? Shut up and put them in the bag, lady. I don't need to be judged right now."
Sure.
So, yeah. Yes.
Well, now I'm like, well, some are for my son and some are for me.
Yes, the entire cart of Hot Wheels and mac and cheese and ice cream is for an adult human being, and please do not judge me. It's fine. So anyway, I was excited for my new Hot Wheels pickups anyway, despite the interaction with a child that was awkward.
I get a lot at the grocery store. Listen, like I'm doing all the grocery shopping for the family. I get a little treat. Leave me alone.
Sure, exactly how it is. Well,
doing all my adult chores here. I get a little treat. Leave me alone.
I had to run out because we had carved pumpkins for like the front yard for the trick or treating like setup we have. And Naomi was like, "Oh, we don't have any glow sticks. You get some glow sticks to put in the pumpkins." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. We should have a Dollar Tree."
It'd be the
So that
best
we know.
dude in Revere.
So she sends me a Dollar Tree, and she should know what's going to come home from Dollar Tree. They sell Hot Wheels cars. It's more her fault than mine at that point. So,
sure.
Anyway, whatever. I got my Hot Wheels cars. I also got the glow sticks, and life is good. So,
Check chop.
yeah. Yes, Halloween was yesterday. We had a lot of Halloween trick-or-treaters, and we did not have many people driving their cars around the neighborhood. So that was good, because that frustrates me. You probably don't get that in your neighborhood because it's too awkward.
Like driving house to house?
Yes.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. So
that's weird.
Part of me gets it, and part of me gets mad about it.
I don't get it because you have enough of a grid there.
Yeah, but
your
the
blocks
problem
aren't
is
super
there are
huge.
so many houses that don't have their lights on. Like, I was looking up and down my street, and there's probably, if I had to guess, 20 houses each side of my block, and there were maybe 6 houses that were doing trick or treating.
Is this like playing Paperboy and they all turn like black and red or whatever when you?
Yeah, pretty much. I did feel bad because the neighbor across the street unfortunately passed away last week.
Oh.
And yeah, he was 88 or 89. He's an older guy. He had a good life, but he's a nice guy and he's gonna be missed. But his front porch light was on just because the neighbors have it on.
Yeah.
Just because his family leaves it on, so it seems like somebody's there. But I felt bad and had to be yelling across the street "Hey, nobody there! Don't bother." Because it's I should go over there and unscrew his light bulb. But anyway, that's the Halloween wrap up. I don't have any better stories than that. Moving on to car stuff, Andrew. Have you done any Project Car stuff this week?
had my windshield replaced today that I talked about last week.
Excellent. Nice and clear, fresh, nothing like a new windshield.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't pitted because it wasn't that old, but it just had 2 giant cracks in it. So,
Right.
you know, it's not that much different.
Excellent.
It's just nice that it's not broken.
I have 3 cars that need windshields. I think we talked about it briefly last week. One of them is my fault for hitting it with the wiper arm. One of them I bought with a broken windshield, and one of them I blame on the tint company. But anyway, I was trying to find a glass company that would do vintage cars, and I belong to a chat group here, like a Facebook group chat that's just the Arizona vintage Toyota owners. So I was like, they'll probably know where to get a windshield. And they recommended somebody who has done all of their cars in the past. So I messaged them on Instagram, and I was replying with them just before we came on to record. So hopefully he'll be able to do the older car windshields, because I had a windshield done in the 944 when I first got it, and the shop that did it bent the molding, and I don't like it. So I don't want them to do another windshield, especially because the moldings in the Corolla are pretty much unobtainium. So
yeah,
I don't want them getting broken. So hopefully this guy can take care of me, and I can get all 3 windshields replaced. I'd like to get either the Corolla or the 944 done before next weekend, because it is Radwood LA weekend on the 11th, and I want to make sure that one of those cars has a good windshield for that trip. So hopefully I can get something done. But anyway, car stuff here. I did the ISC on the Eclipse.
Oh yeah, the battery was dead last time.
Yep.
So,
battery's all good. Put a new battery in it. Unfortunately, it was out of warranty. I bought it 4 years ago, which is a pretty long time for a battery in the Arizona desert. Put a new battery in it. I did have to change one of the original ends, which made me upset. But the old battery had a crack and was leaking. I think I mentioned that. And I don't know if it had something to do with the extra, fumes or actual battery acid coming out of the battery, but it had actually seized the clamping mechanism, and the bolt that goes through were just pretty much one piece of metal now. So there was no saving that. So I had to get a new battery cable end for it. So put a new end on it, put the battery in, everything's all good. Car fired right up. It didn't take much time to learn. I was nervous that it was going to take some time for the ECU to learn the new, idle speed controller, but it didn't. And then I turned the AC on, and the rev range raised about 100 RPMs, as it should. And as the AC cycled on and off, there was a minor little fluctuation in the rev range, but it was no longer doing the hunting for rev that it used to do. So that's good. So fixed everything with that one part. I should have done it years ago. Because I don't know if I talked about it or not, there are 3 steps in that ISC. There's
we did talk about this.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, it fixed it. It idles beautiful now, even with the AC on. So car's pretty much good to go. It just needs a full detail and move on to its new owner. So
that's what I did. I waxed up the all-track because I hadn't done it in a while.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
The the Meguiar's ceramic stuff works really great for doing it at home.
Excellent.
And they have it's when you have a car that the paint is not bad on at all, it's much easier. Like I did it in like 2 hours.
Especially with the handheld 5-inch buffer.
Oh, I didn't have to do that at all because the car doesn't need it. It's
I use it for just for applying wax.
No, I don't.
Slow speed handheld 5-inch makes it. You do a whole car in 30 minutes. It's great.
No, I was too worried because the ceramic stuff you definitely have to do in patches.
Okay.
And it's got it's like a 2-part system. So they have the base and then the final. And then the way the final dries, it almost dries clear. You don't really see it. So you definitely have to do it in little sections. So, you get it all off.
Yep.
And then one of the last times I picked up, they have stuff that goes on the black trim. It makes it look nice again. So it's like the entire thing is ceramic coated. It's cool.
That's cool. I'll have to look into that stuff too. I don't know. Is it the same kind of length as the regular ceramic coating? The stuff you buy from a ceramic coating place? Like, does it last?
I
as
have no
long?
idea. This is hybrid ceramic wax from McGuire's.
So it's probably slightly different.
I'm sure it's not as tough as the expensive stuff, but for a home
Works.
application,
Yeah.
works good for me. It looks nice. It lasts a while. Like,
Well, I have a full professional kit here to try, so I don't have a car to try
Yeah.
it on. So
I think I'll switch everything to it because it does work really well and it looks really shiny. Like I had used the butter wax on the G20 and I wasn't happy with the results after it had been sitting outside. Like it didn't last very
hold
long.
it shine.
No. So I redid it with the ceramic and it looks really, really good even after being rained on multiple times.
Maybe I'll give it a
So-
go when I redo the 944.
Yeah.
It needs to be redone again because it's been a year since I, quote unquote, restored it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of faded back again. So
Now the Talon that sits in the garage has butter wax and it's fine because it doesn't really see the rain and the sun.
yeah, I have butter wax in the Crest that it's been probably 6 months and it looks fine. It looks great actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll give it a go then. I'll give it a go. So yeah, but that's my entire project car update status. I haven't done anything else. I moved some cars around, but that's not hardly a project. So
Yeah, I got some maintenance coming up on Stephanie's car. I got to change oil. I change the plugs. The car has almost 60,000 miles on it, which is kind of crazy.
that's crazy.
We got it
Is that
in
18?
it's an 18, but she bought it in October of 17.
Okay.
So 5 years old.
That makes sense. That's 12,000 miles a year, right?
Yeah.
That's the national average. So
Yeah.
I ordered the stuff to do because I'm coming up on 3,000 miles on the motorcycle. I ordered stuff to do an oil change on that, and also 3,000 miles is a valve adjustment on that as well. So
Yeah.
that'll be
Well-
hopefully maybe not next week, probably the week after. I'll have to take care of that. So
Well, if that's all you got for project car updates, didn't you drive that motorcycle somewhere or ride it?
I did. I took my first trip on the dirt. I was pretty stoked. I did not anticipate a dirt ride that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my whole plan that day was I was just going to get in the bike, and it was a beautiful morning. I think Naomi was out on her bicycle. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for a motorcycle ride. I'll just take a ride to 4 till 4, whatever's going on there. I think it would have been probably Adventure Machines. And I was like, let's go check out what's going on down there. And
There you go.
yeah, it's an adventure machine, right? And I'll grab a
Yeah.
coffee and kind of wander around and ride home. It's good. Winds up being about a 45-mile round trip if I stay off the interstates. So I left, and then for some reason, I decided to take a left onto Cave Creek Road instead of going all the way down towards Scottsdale. Cave Creek Road kind of connects Phoenix to North Scottsdale here. And I'd taken it before, well past the town of Cave Creek. And actually, if you remember, probably 2 years ago, I took a bunch of pictures of my blue Colt on like a hilly, like you can see the curves in the background and the like parked on the dirt on the side of the road. And I was like, there's definitely some curves up there, like a nice, like windy, like almost mountainous kind of pass. That'd be fun to like take the motorcycle up to because I haven't taken on any roads like that because I've only taken it inside the grid of Phoenix. So I was pretty stoked. I was out there riding those like windy roads. Actually, they're tight enough turns that I scraped the foot peg a few times. So the bike doesn't have a ton of lean angle, obviously being an off-road bike, but still it was a neat feeling to get that kind of angle out of that bike. Last time it'd been up there had been a big fire and a big portion of the road was closed. So I didn't know what the northern part of the road even was like because I'd never been there before. So I kept riding, and then I got to a point where it said pavement ends. I said, oh, that's interesting. All right, I'll keep going a little bit until it gets to a point where I can't really handle it anymore. Just because I'm not trying to get myself stuck out here. I didn't bring a ton of gear. I was just wearing my normal, riding boots and jeans. I had some water, so I was at least prepared for a problem, but didn't have anybody else with me, didn't have tools or spare tire parts or anything like that. So I was like, I'll just go out until it gets too gnarly. So I went, and I wound up riding about 20 miles down this dirt road. I wouldn't say you needed a 4x4 to get through most of it. There was one part where there's a water crossing that had water flowing. It was, probably 6 inches deep. It wasn't like it was a, multiple feet of water, but I went through that and then went through some camping areas that are out there. I just kind of did some more exploring. I think it's called Seven Springs. It's in the Tonto National Forest. You definitely need ground clearance. You couldn't do it in the G20, but you could probably do it in the All-Track. It's not super gnarly, but it's not smooth either. And
Excuse me, that is an all-terrain vehicle. Thank you.
yes, that's
Called
what I'm
an
telling
All-Track.
you. That's what I'm saying. You could go out there in this. I'm not telling you couldn't. I'm telling you could. So calm yourself. All-Track could make it where this.
It is a soft
motorcycle made it.
roader.
Yes. Which is what the motorcycle is really too, honestly. So I kept going, and I got to a point where it got really rocky. And then there was a sign that said primitive road, 4x4 and high clearance required. So I went a little further and a little further, and then it got rockier and rockier. And I was like, you know what? I think I've pushed my luck enough today, out by myself, in the middle of nowhere, where there's no cell phone service. I don't have any tools. This is good. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna take some pictures, show that I did it, and I'm gonna turn around and go home. So I did. It wound up being a little over 20 miles in on the dirt, so 20 miles back out, so probably 45 miles or so on all dirt road, and then another I probably did 100 miles round trip. Out for a few hours. Going in the dirt, it's pretty slow going. There weren't a ton of other vehicles out there. I did run into sheriff was out there in a Suburban, and there was at one point when I pulled over just to stretch my legs and take a drink of water. 4Runner went by, a fairly new one with the whole family in it, just out enjoying the trails. And they stopped to make sure I was okay, and just stopping for a water break. So it was neat. That's why I bought the bike, right? To take it out in some paths and explore. And it's funny because I rode onto the dirt. And I went to the first turn, and it was a little bit, siltier sand. And I felt the bike kind of wash out a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay. That's how this is. But then by the end of the trip, even going through that same turn, coming back the opposite direction, I was way more confident. It's just, I was thinking of things that I'd learned from watching videos of people and, just to barely hold on to the handlebars, no death grip at all. Make sure you let the front wheel do what it wants to do. Because you get into trouble when you start trying to point the front wheel somewhere. So if the wheel wants to move left or move right, you just let it. Because it's, ultimately, just like with a bicycle, in order to stay upright, you have to keep moving forward, right? So as long as you kind of let the bike do what it wants to do and only make corrections to keep yourself on the road, you're probably going to be okay. So that's kind of what I did, make corrections to stay on the road and avoid jagged rocks or big rocks. And, it's definitely a different set of muscles you use when you're standing on the pegs versus sitting on the seat. But it makes it much smoother being off-road standing on the pegs. I'm sure you remember that from bicycle riding. When you're going over bumps, you stand up and let the bike move below you. Well, it's the same on a motorcycle, and I do it in town on speed bumps and whatnot, but you pretty much wind up standing a good amount of the time when you're off-road. A smooth, graded dirt road, not as much, but when you get into whoops and rocks and that kind of stuff, you end up standing most of the time. A, you have more control over the bike once you learn how to do it, and B, you don't have that constant hammering of the motorcycle moving underneath you. It just kind of, your knees absorb most of it, and the bike just moves underneath you, and it's not as punishing of a ride. So it was definitely fun. Again, it was my first real foray off-road, any kind of dirt other than some sand in a parking lot. So I was pretty stoked on it, and I'm excited to do it again. I need to get some soft saddlebags for it, soft luggage, I guess they call it when it's adventure bikes, not saddlebags. Just so I can bring out some tools and tire repair stuff, just in case. I don't want to get stranded out there in the middle of nowhere, because that wouldn't be fun. So, and also maybe find some people to go off-roading with, because things like that are more fun in groups, and you also have this support system of other people being with you. So I enjoyed it. Looking forward to doing some more. Might have to pick up some proper off-road boots now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun because it's only like 30 minutes from door to dirt. So it's really not that bad. And it seems to be a few trails out there that I could have gone off the main trail as well to some other numbered routes, but I didn't want to venture too far without having, again, proper stuff with me. So I think it's just the beginning of a new kind of deal. I haven't done it before. I've wanted to go off-roading since I've lived here on my own vehicle. I haven't bought a truck yet, so here we are. So anyway, yeah, that was my Saturday last week. Good times. Got the bike good and dirty.
Cool.
So, couple things I wanted to talk about this week.
Okay.
So you bought a new car in what, 2019?
Yes.
When you bought said new car,
Mm-hmm.
did you have to provide the bank with a VIN number?
No, because I didn't finance it through the bank. I financed it through VW Credit. So
Okay.
they probably already had that stuff.
So I've been like, all these dealerships that are selling cars at a huge markup. This kind of came to me today because I was talking to or listening to somebody talk about the new Nissan Z Nismo edition, and
Yes.
it's like a $64,000 car, which is crazy.
Yeah.
because it's a $20,000 markup on the standard Z, which is insane. More than $20K actually, I think.
Is that the actual package or is that the dealer adjusted?
No, the actual package gets it to $64,000.
Yeah.
The
'Cause I
dealer
remember reading
markup,
about it.
the
we
dealer
had
markup
talked
of
about
this
it.
car was an additional $80,000. Yeah.
Wait, what?
So yeah, exactly. So
So-
$120,000.
What?
Yeah, $130,000, whatever it was. Yeah.
What? No. That's
Yes, that's what they're asking for it.
like
so-
it. I remember reading about this car. It's only got a few things different.
It's insane.
Maybe it's got
that
it's got a
marked up
couple
that much.
trick parts.
Yeah, it's
but, like-
insane that Nissan's charging that much more for it based on like the minor differences it has. So, but now this dealership wants, they had some whole spiel about how it's a premium, high demand car and yada yada yada.
No, it's not.
Sure, they want you to think it is. Listen, all it takes is one rich guy to see that and be like, "I'll buy it." So
I mean, I haven't seen many around, but I think we talked about that. They're having a problem with the paint.
they're having a problem with the paint and then some other issues with distribution, and it's been a whole thing. I've seen 2 now. So there's a yellow one running around here, which I did not see, but Naomi saw it and asked me what it was, whose license plate is Z Proto Z. It's obviously
All right.
the yellow.
I got you off track here. What were you
Yeah.
were talking about with the bank and the price of the
Anyway,
car? And
so with the bank and the price of the car and all that stuff, I'd been wondering for a while about how people are buying these cars that have dealer markups.
yes,
Because forever it's always been like you go to the car dealership, you look at the car you want, you
Mhm.
get the VIN number, you do all the paperwork with your bank, and they give you the money that car costs. And they won't give you 20 grand more than the car costs, right?
no,
They won't
because they
give you
also have
30
a
grand. Sure.
they also have NADA books.
So it all kind of came to my mind, and I was talking to Naomi about it again because we recently purchased a new car.
Mhm.
I think we talked about the Maverick on here for sure. And she's like, no, they never requested a VIN number from me because we didn't finance through Ford. She financed through her own credit union. And I was like, well, how did that work? She goes, I told them I wanted to buy a car. And just like buying a house, they came back and they said, all right, you're approved for $75,000. Go buy a car.
That feels new.
Yeah. And she was like, well, okay, well, I don't need that much money. And they're like, well, the only rules are it has to be, within this many years, like 2 years old or under this many miles or whatever, but 75 grand's your number. So it's just like buying a house. Like you get approved for an amount, and then you go buy the house. In this case, a car. Like it seems dangerous. It seems like we just got out of this whole thing with predatory car loans, and we're already deciding a new way to get into new ones, because that means dealers can do whatever they want. That means if, Joe Dumb Consumer comes into a dealership and their bank has said, yeah, Joe Dumb Consumer, you have $52,000 to buy a car. Jerky dealership can be like, all right, Joe, well, this car here is 52 grand, even though it's 35. And, consumer beware, obviously he should know better, but Joe Dumb Consumer doesn't. He's just like, oh yeah, all right, that I approve for this much money. Here's my car. So that seems weird to me. And
I guess, but also, I don't know, if you can't figure that out, then I don't know.
listen, I'm not going to get into the morality or the intelligence of the buyer and seller, but the issue here is that it can happen, and that banks are allowing you to buy a car based on nothing more than year of the car, mileage of the car, and your approval for your credit. So that must be how cars are being bought now. Like you see these Toyota Corolla, what do you call it? The Corolla, the GR Corolla that they want 30 grand over sticker on, because banks have changed the way they're doing it. So this whole time I've been mad at dealerships for overcharging customers for cars or pricing people like us out of the car market. Maybe they're in cahoots with the banks. Maybe there's some weird thing going on here. I don't even know what the deal is, but it just kind of struck me as odd.
Well, I don't know. I always tell people there's nothing that says you have to buy that car at that dealer. If it's a new
of course
car.
not.
If it's a brand new car, like, you can just walk away. It doesn't and oftentimes if you're like, no, it's too expensive, you walk away, then they're like, then they'll try to make a deal with you. So
sure. I don't know. I think I might need to do a little more digging into it to find out for sure, and maybe that's a her credit union, but I mean, it feels like it's the thing now. So
I don't know. I remember when I bought my Civic, because that was used, and I told her how much they were charging me because they're giving me employee rate at my credit union. She was like, "Oh, that's under book value. That's pretty good." And they were they were fine with that.
Right, of course. They always want to owe less.
Yeah.
But the thing I bought my car in 2019, and I bought through the dealership financing, so I don't know what the deal was there either, but it just struck me as odd, and I guess I need to do a little more digging into it. But
well, that's the other thing too, because
seems odd.
I can't imagine if you were financing through Ford Credit, they would want you to pay a dealer markup.
Well, you wouldn't if you're financing through the... Yeah, I guess you're right, because Ford's pretty mad about dealer markups.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is through her credit union. This is how they did it. They said you're approved for $70-something thousand. And we were like, whoa, no. we don't need a $70,000 car. We're buying a $28,000 car. And we're only financing part of it. So
I will tell you that I got an email that said the dealership I bought my car from wanted to buy it back for 20 grand.
Oh, they gave you an actual offer? Because they always give those emails out, but they don't actually give you an offer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be pretty good now, actually, get 20 grand back out of that car after 3 years and 30,000 miles.
Yeah. It's already paid 23 for it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. But at the same time, what do you replace it
I can't
with?
replace it with anything. So I kind of just want to keep that car forever. Because like I said, that'll probably be the last gas manual transmission car I'll be able to buy.
New anyway, for sure. Yeah, I don't
New, yeah.
Who knows? There's I've talked about it before. The all this tech is all new right now, right? And electric is the buzzword of the moment, but maybe hybrid's going to be the way to go, and hybrid manual cars are starting to become a thing. So,
yeah, Toyota had a test car. It
Yep.
was a Lexus. It was in Japan. They're testing with a manual transmission.
Yep. So, I mean, you can still do a hybrid with the manual because you're still operating through a gearbox, right? So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not ready to I'm not ready to put the nail in the coffin yet. I think we're gonna.
I
Be
suppose
okay.
I'd buy like a BRZ or a GR86.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, and I've probably said this before. Any year that a new car is sold with a gas engine is at least another 25 to 30 years of us having gasoline available to the public, I would think. So it might be less of them are sold with gas, but I think that until the last gasoline powered car is sold, we have a solid quarter of a century of fuel availability, right? That seems to be.
They'll just be like horses. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll find a way. By the time there aren't any more fuel pumps, there'll be a way to make your own fuel at home. There'll be something. And I don't feel like we'll ever. I don't think in our lifetime anyway, and we've probably talked about this ad nauseum over the years, but I don't think in our lifetime we're ever not going to be able to get fuel. So, and every year we talk about it, it's 1 year less I got to worry about it. So that's just the way it feels. And like I said, I think a solid number is probably every year a new gas car is sold is probably a solid 25 years of fuel availability. So
Sure.
just kind of a stab in the dark, right? They're still car companies are still spending time and energy on developing gasoline engines. So, in fact, if you want to run into new car news real fast, it was just released that Dodge is not going to go full electric on the Charger Challenger replacement, like they said they were going to. So they're doing gasoline-powered Chargers and Challengers for the next gen. So that was a big, like, everybody's like, oh, the muscle car is dead. Supposedly, it's going to be a 6-cylinder twin turbo. So there's still probably going to be 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's going to be the Chrysler Hurricane Inline 6. Which is a neat callback to old Jeep marketing, because Jeep used to have the Hurricane 6. So maybe Jeep's the Hurricane 4. I'd have to research that. They had an engine called a Hurricane in the past, though. But yeah, it'll be a twin turbo inline 6, so it'll be an American 2J, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so yeah, I don't.
I can't wait to have all the Pops and Bangs tunes in 2025.
Well, it doesn't matter what configuration the engine is. That's going to be the thing. And you know what? Maybe by 2025, 2026, that will be passe. I feel like that's a trend.
I can only hope.
Yeah.
I can only
you
hope.
can only hope. I don't know how. I haven't seen it as bad in the Northeast as it is out here. So
it's every Mark V Super owner.
Thankfully, there aren't many of them.
Which is twin turbo V6.
Yep.
Which then trickles over to BMWs.
See, out here, it's every BMW, and it's from like a 2003 BMW through a current one.
Yeah.
And I drive every day for work all over town, about 100 miles a day, and I see and hear plenty of them. So it's like frustrating in traffic when you're in like not a great neighborhood, and all of a sudden you start hearing gunshots behind you. And it's not. It's just a BMW. So, whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of like last mile transportation, did you see the Moto Compacto launch?
I did. I saw some reviews for it that are pretty positive too. So
yeah,
it's like a neat little scooter. So
and then somebody linked a place that was selling them for like $100 under MSRP.
Okay.
So I pre-ordered one.
So what's MSRP?
It's like $995.
Oh, so they're not expensive.
No, they're on par with my scooter, my current scooter, brand new.
So you use it for legitimate last mile transportation because you commute in with your wife, and then she parks in her work parking lot, and you commute another couple miles to work, right?
Yeah. So I actually looked it up again. They've lowered the price, the MSRP on my scooter, and maybe that's because this Honda came out. Because originally, a 9-bot G30 Max, which is what I have, was like $899. I bought mine used off a friend, and it was like only had like 10 miles on it, and I've done like some mods to it, so it's easily worth $500 as it sits.
Yeah, which is
so,
more than half of your new.
Yeah, so I'll just sell it.
Well, the Motocompo looks cool because it has the suitcase design of the old Motocompo.
Yeah, and it's like actually folds down better than the scooter. Would take up less space.
What does it have for range and mile per hour?
It'll do 15 miles an hour as opposed to my scooter does 19. And supposedly the range is 12 miles on the Moto Compacto.
Okay.
Mine, the G30 Max, is supposed to be 40 miles, but like I think that's very generous. That's like not at max speed. You basically run it in sport mode all the time. Otherwise, it does like 10 miles an hour. It's like too slow.
Right.
So, that's what extends the range. Because I can ride it back and forth to work a couple days in a row. It'll be at like 50% charge, which is like only like a mile and a half, which is not. So the range is not that much. They're really good for last mile.
Yep. Yeah, 40 miles. You're doing a mile.
40
and a
miles is
half.
optimistic.
Yeah, if you're running half of it in 3 miles, then yeah, that's
Yeah, it's and temperature really determines it too,
sure.
because there's no heating or cooling of the battery.
Sure. And the other cool thing about the Moto Compo is that big flat side. There's a bunch of different people who are already designing like livery stickers for them.
Yeah,
Which is really neat.
so I was reading about that. Their design inspiration was people's laptops because you put stickers all over them.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then the funniest comment I saw on the Honda or somebody's YouTube review of it was like, "Oh, finally, I can ride a SIM card around campus."
Yeah. Yeah, it's neat.
But-
I guess that it's just a pretty standard looking scooter underneath that plastic cover. But I mean, it's a Honda. It's cool.
That's the thing. I'm like, well, it's made by Honda. It's warranted by Honda for a year. You'd have it serviced at like a Honda dealer, which is weird.
That is bizarre.
I don't know how that's going to work.
They'll have to
I
have
like
one
that
tech
you-
who will do it because not everybody tech's going to get trained in that stupid little thing.
No. It's funny. They make seats to sit down on like my Max. And I'm like, that looks stupid. But then like this thing, now you sit down on it. But after I launched myself off of it the other week, I'm like, oh, maybe it makes more sense to be sitting down like a bicycle where your weight's in the back.
Well, I think the only issue with sitting down is you become a smaller visual
It looks-
thing for traffic.
It looks no more worse than somebody riding a collapsible bike.
Okay.
And then
I look
the
forward
other
to
thing-
seeing you ride it and harassing you for how it looks. So
well, you're gonna probably come here and visit and ride it and love it. So
I am, and you can make fun of me for how I look riding it. That's beside the point.
and the other thing, it's front wheel drive and has a mechanical rear brake.
Of course, it's front wheel drive. It's a Honda.
Whereas the scooter I have now is rear wheel drive and has a mechanical front brake. So that's the problem with them, is when you grab them too hard, I wasn't leaned back enough, and you're standing upright, and especially, I'm a 250-pound man. It was just like, whoop, just levered me right off of it.
Right. I've done that on a motorcycle before, so I imagine it's not thankfully levered off of it, but grabbed too much front brake and pulled the back up in the air. So I know the feeling you're talking about. So it's not.
Yeah,
it's not
and I still
fun.
don't understand how I jumped off of it at like 15 miles an hour and like ran.
Because you were no longer doing 15 miles an hour. It
I
slowed
must
down
have looked
just
like
enough.
I definitely slowed down from like 20 to maybe like 15. And I must have looked like an anime character, like doing some stupid run.
Yeah, people were like, "That's Insane Bolt over there, not Usain Bolt. What's he doing?"
Yeah.
So no, that's cool.
So-
though. I'm excited to see it. I mean, it's kind of neat to be like at the forefront of the new tech. Hopefully, this dealership, quote unquote, is legit because you got to service it at a Honda dealer, but you buy it from like some Chinese website. That's weird.
No, another like an online like Honda parts dealer.
Okay,
It seemed very legit. Like the whole thing was like, it didn't seem like
some
poorly translated. It was like made sense.
some African prince sitting there going, "I've got this $800 now."
So it's like they also like register it. There's also it's not quite a VIN, but there's actually a number for it. Like it's registered to your address.
Okay,
It's weird.
website wasn't hon.com, right? It was
No.
full. All right, we're good.
No. So yeah, I'll try it out, and it's
Yeah.
only like 30 inches. Like it's the size of a suitcase. It's so weird.
Yeah, my guess is that they're going to be pretty hot anyway. So if you decide you don't like it, it probably won't be hard to move from it.
No.
So, I mean,
And,
if the original Moto Compo was any indication, like those things are absolute garbage little motorcycles, and they sell for $5,000. So,
Yeah, and it seems like Honda's probably going to start putting these like in their EVs as like an option.
more than likely,
That's the theory. But no, it seems pretty cool, and I'll, I can, if my work is like changing locations just slightly in the city, I might end up actually a little bit closer to the commuter rail and using that instead. So it'd be easier to walk on with this suitcase thing than a scooter.
A scooter. Yeah. Well, I look forward to talking to somebody in our listener base and having them design an Auto Off Topic livery for you. So.
I mean, it's square, so literally, if I just blew up our square decal,
Yeah, it's not. It's gonna be a full livery though. It's a vehicle. It needs something. So, anyway, very cool. I'm stoked to try it out. So, it's probably gonna wind up accelerating faster than my Himalayan. So,
I bought a new helmet too because I was like, I had this little, like cheapo helmet I was wearing.
do you get a full motorcycle helmet now?
No, it's a bike helmet, but it does have the MIPS thing you were talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it must be a Bell.
It's not a Bell.
Oh, okay.
It's a weird name, but they have a good reviews. So
Now Bell, I think Bell is one of the ones that pioneered the technology. It was for a little while exclusively theirs. It's not anymore. So just that's the most common bike helmet you see usually with that MIPS in it.
It's got more of a retro style to it. It's not like it looks like a scooter helmet, but it's a bike for bike.
I know that our bicycle helmets have MIPS and my motorcycle helmet has MIPS, and looking into the technology, I don't know why I wouldn't buy something with a MIPS in it now, basically. I mean, as nerdy as helmet talk is, like it's the most important thing as far as safety gear goes. So I want the best I can get as far as safety goes, not necessarily like the best, lightest, most aerodynamic, most expensive, but like the best safety wise. So
yeah.
But anyway. Oh, speaking of race cars, did you watch NASCAR? Speaking of race cars, speaking of helmets, did you watch NASCAR?
Did watch NASCAR. So we've only got one race left. This is the second to last race, right?
Yeah, Martinsville, right? Was this race?
Yep.
And the track is older than NASCAR, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
NASCAR is in its 75th year, and this track has been around longer than that. So it's been there since it's been part of NASCAR since the very beginning.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And it's probably one of the most fun tracks to watch. It's a short track, and the cars are too wide is really all you can really pull off. There was a couple of moments of 3 wide that were sketchy at best. Nothing that caused any issues, but it certainly could have. It's a great track to watch. They run it twice a year. It's one of my favorite tracks to watch. I don't ever miss this race because it's good. It's a good one to watch. It's a lot of competition, a lot of back and forth. I think that Blaney and Hamlin exchanged the lead like 40 times during this race. They kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth each lap. It was pretty wild. Spoiler alert. Pause there to allow you to change the channel. Blaney won the race.
Yeah.
For a while, it looked like for sure that it was Hamlin's race to lose because he was in front for most of the time. But he did not win the race. He finished third, which wildly enough was not enough to get him into the final 4 in the playoffs, which is super frustrating. Yeah, it was either win or have the 24 car. Byron had to either finish below
worse than
20th. Yeah. So 19th or 20th. And Hamlin had to either finish in if he finished worse than 20th, Hamlin had to finish like in 3rd or 4th, and he could have done it. But because he finished in, I think, 15th or 16th, and Hamlin finished third. Hamlin lost out for the final four for the second year in a row. Because if you remember last year, he got bumped at the same last race because it's where Ross Chastain did his wall ride.
Yes.
And he passed Hamlin in order to make it into the final four race at Phoenix. And so it really sucks to be Hamlin 2 years in a row and losing out,
Yeah.
making it all the way to the final 8 and then losing out of the final 4. So
Watching Hamlin and Blaney work their way through the field multiple times was really cool.
yep, they had the fastest cars of the day, unquestionably.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty clean race, honestly, for Martinsville. I think there were like 6 or 7 cautions.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot, and there was nothing major. There was one, multi-car wreck, but everything was pretty innocuous, and it was not a big mess. Usually it's a big mess, but there was a lot of really good racing. And I'd say the best racing of the whole evening was the beginning of the third stage. Like the first third of the third stage was just, it was anybody's race. It was absolute chaos. They started the stage. A lot of cars didn't pit, so a bunch of slower cars were up front, and that's one of the times that Blaney and Hamlin were kind of working their way through the pack. At one point, there was a restart in the stage, I think it was stage 3, where Blaney and Hamlin were 1-2, and Blaney was in front of Hamlin, and they were just bumping and grinding and bumping, and Hamlin came up behind Blaney, and he got him loose, and Blaney's car, pitched left, right down the straightaway, 4 times each direction. No car ever gets saved in this situation, but somehow he didn't wreck it. And it was just super exciting to watch. And it's cool that Blaney won because that makes him the, one of the final 4. So it's going to be Blaney, Larson, 2 other drivers, Byron, and one more. I don't remember who else is in there, but it should be a good Phoenix race. Phoenix is usually a pretty good race. It's wild to watch because the track limits are non-existent, so any lane works. It's 12 lane racetrack pretty much. So it'll be fun next week. I gotta try to stay out of my phone and the internet on Sunday because I won't be around to watch it, unfortunately. But I'll have to watch it on record later on. So hopefully I don't get spoiled.
Yeah, there was several, or at least one. There was 100-mile stretch of green laps.
Yeah, 130,
which was crazy.
Yep, especially for Martinsville because it's such a violent race usually.
Yeah, they were talking about they weren't expecting it. Okay, now we got to consider fuel, and also, we don't know how these rear tires are doing. So
yeah, it's only a half-mile track, so it's not a very long track. So it's usually pretty rough on tires. But I guess Goodyear brought a brand new tire to this event, and they had some guys that were running 80, 85 laps on a set of tires, which is pretty unheard of for NASCAR tires. There's one point where everybody's least favorite driver, Kyle Larson, picked up 14 spots in the pits because
I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, he took on no tires. Everybody else took on at least 2.
Okay, that's how he did it.
He did a splash and go and went back out there with 60 laps on his tires and didn't lose any positions. That just shows how good these tires are and how good, unfortunately, Larson is. So wild to see the tires last that long and to the point where the car can still be competitive. Especially in a short track where you're coming out of these tight turns and trying to put the power down so hard. And, they're talking about the gearing on these cars is also ultra super, super low. So they have tons of torque down low too, as they spin tires really easily. They were talking about,
the curved exit on pit road.
Yeah, the number 19
easily speed right there because it turns.
Because they do, so they don't do a radar gun as far as your speed. They do between 2 lines. So distance from line to line. So if you're on the inside of the turn, you have to go slower than if you're on the outside of the turn because you'll cross the 2 lines faster. And that pulled out the 19 car, got a speeding penalty for that. So
what Truex? Yeah,
Martin Truex Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he was a chase driver, so he didn't unfortunately make it either, but it's crazy to see. But anyways, it's a great race. It's worth at least watching the 20-minute race recap that NASCAR puts on YouTube if you have some time to sit down and watch it. So good time. But yeah, one more race this season and then a full 2 months off.
Yeah,
It's a very short off season for NASCAR. Comes back in February.
it is very short.
So I wish it was a little bit longer for my viewing needs, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, good racing. So anything else, Andrew?
I don't have much else now.
Well, we got a couple things coming up. The weekend of the 11th is Radwood, LA. At least I will be there. I was trying to decide whether to go there or Dino's Get Down, the big Chevy truck show here in town, but the Chevy truck show and Chevy muscle car show is that same weekend. But the following weekend is Good Guys here in town, which is a decidedly muscle car hot rod show. So I'll be around for that. So I'll go Radwood in LA and then be here for the following weekend for the Good Guys event, which I've never been to a Good Guys event. Definitely an older crowd, but they've opened it up to pre-1995 or 1997 or some random year. Pre some year in the 90s import cars. So that's a huge thing for those guys to do. So maybe I'll go crash that with the Cressida or something. But I'll definitely be going to that as well. So 2 big events coming up. So anything in New England, or is it pretty much over?
Oh no, it's over.
Okay. No snow yet, though, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, northern New England, but I mean, there's a gravel trial on this weekend, but I'm not able to go. So there's like, racing stuff throughout the year as far as like rallycross and gravel trials, but not much else.
So that's at Team O'Neill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right. Well, if that's the case, then, Andrew, I think that is an episode.
It is an episode. So as always, follow us at Off Topic Podcast on Facebook, Off Topic on Instagram, Off Topic on Threads if you feel like it, which feels like it's kind of starting to pop off. Took a little while.
Seems to be.
I am Race and Anger on Instagram and Threads, and that's about it. Oh, and our Discord. Come join our Discord. It's fun over there.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I started
all of my day.
Yeah. No, I'm always working hard all day long.
Yes, to my boss, I'm always working. To all you people else, I'm always on Discord.
I started so EA Sports released WRC, which replaces Dirt Rally 2.0. I started a club for that. I don't have any events yet, but I'll start up an event for the winter, and we'll do a few of those. It does have Group A cars, which is cool. A lot of VR4s in it.
Very cool. Very cool. I like to pick up that N Forza now. So
yeah, it plays pretty well. I forgot to talk about it, but we can talk about it next time because I got to play it some more. So yeah, definitely come hang out in the Discord. We have all these channels for that. Brad, where can they find you?
they can find me on Instagram at TSISS350. They can find me also on Threads sometimes. I don't even know what my username is there. Is it the same as Instagram? I think it is, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, also on Instagram. And that's pretty much it.
What about Scale Autocast?
Also Scale Autocast. I haven't posted there, Andrew, in like 3 weeks. And I'm feel like a giant jerk about it.
Yeah, I got some stuff. New stuff came in, so
Yep.
I need it on there. But
I don't
anyways,
have any new high-end stuff, but I got some new Hot Wheels stuff to put up there.
Yep. All right, cool. As always, keep your cars analog and aim for the roses.